Shocking words from Gawkberg Yıldırım about Cemre Arda, a confession that set the tone for the new year. He quietly let it slip, then doubled down when asked again, "We still see each other." Welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Before we dive in, your support means everything. Subscribe and stay with us for the stories that hit where it matters most, the heart of the industry and the people who hold it together. There are friendships that don't ask for spotlights. They don't need scandals, they don't need noise. Time moves, sets change, careers twist in unexpected ways. Yet somehow, a single bond keeps breathing beneath all of it. Today we revisit one of those rare connections, a friendship that began at the very first steps of two young talents and refused to fade with the years. This story belongs to two names who learned the rhythm of the set side by side, matured under the same lights, broke into fame together, then stayed within a circle of respect even after their roads forked, Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda. The entertainment world jolted when, years later, Gawkberg spoke plainly and without armor. He said that Cemre has a place in his heart that never closed. It wasn't a line crafted for headlines or a nostalgic flourish. Hidden inside those words were memories of a first set, the tenderness of starting out together, the comfort of a partner who steadied him in the most fragile days, and the kind of loyalty that survives when everything else changes. How did it begin? What kind of bond was born under the glare of the early lights? What really happened during those long days on the set of Adini Feriha Koydum? How much did Cemre Arda shape the early chapters of Gawkberg's career? And why, after all this time, is this friendship still commanding whispers at the start of a brand new year? With open-hearted quotes, backstage fragments, and the threads of emotion that have refused to break, let's remember how the connection between Cemre Arda and Gökberk Yıldırım became a quiet constant. Cemre Arda and Gökberk Yıldırım, a bond still intact after all these years, with the same warmth at the doorway of a fresh January. In show business, friendships are often temporary. The calendar is a revolving door, new producers, new scripts, new cities, new co-stars. One by one, paths separate. Yet every once in a while a friendship defies the schedule. It grows instead of thinning, even when the noise around it gets louder. What exists between Gawkberg and Cemre fits that rare description. The story that started on a set didn't end with the final episode, it carried into the present, sustained by mutual grace and a shared understanding of the work. And as the calendar flips, the staying power of that tie becomes news in itself. It all began with "I Called Her Feriha." Back in 2011, that title wasn't just a show, it felt like the heartbeat of its era. Cemre Arda inhabited Feriha's delicate strength with restrained intensity, and Gökberk Yıldırım gave Amir his quiet fire, the posture, the guardedness, the sincerity that audiences could sense without it being spelled out. That set was Gawkberg's first truly big step into television. Cemre was his first co-lead. Knowing that, what he said years later carries more weight, that Cemre occupies a space in him that never lost its shape. It isn't plain nostalgia. It's a way of describing a bond forged when they were both learning what the job demands and what it takes to keep your soul intact inside it. When Gawkberg admits that "she was there for me when the pressure was loud," he is calling back to a vulnerable season. That first wave of attention, the sudden jump from anonymity to the front row, the headlines, the expectations, the second-guessing, those days can shake even the steadiest person. To have a partner who anchors the day, who shows up prepared, who lifts the scene quietly, that changes the temperature of a set. Cemre wasn't just good at the job. She took the job seriously, arrived early, knew where a scene's spine was, and worked in a way that elevated everyone around her. So when he says "she was my first co-star," he's not only recalling a detail, he's capturing a moment when everything was new, and the person alongside him made sure he didn't fall through the cracks. There's another layer too, one that audiences noticed without naming it. Gawkberg has talked about recognizing parts of Amir in himself, the composed exterior, the private battles, the restraint that hints at a deeper current. Those parallels made the on-screen chemistry feel inevitable instead of manufactured. Cemre's connection to Feriha has kept the series alive in memory even a decade later. Feriha and Amir became more than just a televised romance. They became a junction, the place where two young actors defined their pace, and the start of two separate journeys that somehow remained in conversation. In celebrity chatter, "see you later" is often a polite exit. But when Gawkberg said those words about Cemre, that he admires her deeply, that she has proven herself at home and beyond, there was more to it than a courtesy. He has watched how she chooses, how she reinvents, how she navigates risk. He has seen her step into new registers, from raw drama to glowing comedy, and defend her craft without sacrificing her softness. These are not the words of someone name-dropping a colleague. They're the reflections of someone who knows the work up close. And it runs both ways. Over the years, Cemre has described Gawkberg with a consistent vocabulary, discipline, composure, focus. She has repeated that there was always respect between them. When she reminisces about the long hours, the chilly dawn calls, the crowded corridors of that set, she doesn't romanticize, she emphasizes the atmosphere, the professional honesty, the mutual regard. That continues to be one of the pillars of their bond. After the series, their paths widened. Cemre proved she could carry tenderness and wit in equal measure. She moved from sweeping romance to light-hearted formats and then back again without losing depth. Gawkberg, meanwhile, leaned into moodier roles, darker corners, projects that asked him to transform. Their choices looked different, their schedules could not be synchronized. Yet the thread didn't snap. When asked about the future, Gawkberg has confessed that he has no crystal ball. He says he listens to the work that calls, and everything else is noise. Even in the uncertainty, it feels like the friendships he built honestly continue to steady him, a quiet compass he doesn't need to announce. A new year promises fresh starts. But some relationships don't need to be refreshed, they've never gone stale. That's what this connection is like. The papers and the blogs whisper that on special days, whether it's an anniversary of a premiere or the last night of December, messages still find their way to each other, short, warm, unforced. That tiny habit tells you everything. This isn't a bond preserved in a museum of old memories. It is living. It has present tense. Inside an industry that can turn cynical, Gawkberg's way of speaking about his path, that he will keep going by trusting his own inner voice, reveals why this friendship holds. So much of what has kept both of them centered is built on values, on intuition, on protecting their sense of self while doing work that eats time and privacy. Maybe that's why, even with all the years that have passed, the respect between them hasn't dimmed. That respect is the guardrail. When he says Cemre has a place I don't replace, after everything, it doesn't sound like a slogan. It sounds like the simple truth. In the end, that sentence from Gawkberg, that Cemre has a special place, reads like a recap of an era, a set, a partnership, and a friendship that refused to collapse under the weight of careers. It isn't about clinging to the past. It's about acknowledging what survived, now. It's about a new year that arrives without erasing what came before. In an industry famous for romances that detonate and scandals that steal the oxygen, very few bonds stay this quiet and this deep. That's why people are still talking. Love stories are dramatic. Explosions, reconciliations, sudden endings, they're built for headlines. Friendships, in contrast, whisper. But perhaps the quiet ones are the truest. When Gawkberg admits that Cemre still matters to him, he isn't performing sentimentality. He's giving us a window into an honest bond. And the fact that Cemre has repeatedly proved her strength and versatility in Turkey only sharpens the admiration he expresses. They moved forward. Different projects, different dreams, different cadences, but the thing they never lost was the way they regarded each other. As we open the first page of a new year, maybe that's the message to take. Real friendship isn't defined by working side by side. It's defined by the way feelings endure even when calendars don't line up. Will their paths cross again on screen? Maybe. Maybe we'll watch them share a frame again, an echo of Fariha and Amir folding into something new. Or maybe the magic of this friendship is that it stays elegant, mostly off stage. No declarations, no spectacle, just a steady thread that does not break. But we do know this, There are bonds that don't fade when the cameras stop, and they don't vanish with the trends that pass through our feeds. If this quiet, steady connection between Cemre Arda and Gökberk Yıldırım speaks to you, show some love to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Leave your thoughts below. Do you believe this friendship will find its way back to the screen? Would you want to see Feriha and Amir reborn through them, in some new light, some new story? We're here for the narratives that trust the heart more than the noise. Until the next video, keep listening for the truths that hide between the lines. And to both of them, and to all of you watching, Happy New Year! May the work be good, the friendships honest, and the stories unforgettable.